hello, come in, come in. This is amazing. You've managed to track me down on my travels in Nashville, and I'm, well, I should really, I'm introducing you to another man's house. I am the guest, I'm very happy to say, of the wonderful Phil Keaggy, who is somewhere. Here he is, the man himself. My friend, I hope that's all right, my friend has just arrived.
Hello.
And I think you came once before, didn't you, when we were recording? And we had that great session and did some storytelling down in your studio basement, and we felt, well, now, as it happens, you come and here we have the fruits of our recording.
There it is.
This is, do you know, it makes me feel so happy to be back in the land almost of my youth when you went out and bought an LP,
yeah.
an actual record. It was a physical thing, and you could read the sleeve notes, and
isn't that lovely?
And then you had to play it and listen. You didn't go off and do something else. You listened,
Absolutely,
and then you turned it over.
Right.
And while you were turning it over, you were thinking about what was what you'd heard, and I don't know. I mean, you probably did this, Phil. You're much more. Oh, it's beautiful, isn't it? It's beautiful. You're much, you know, more than I am in this world of records. But I think people used to think a lot about the sequencing of albums, the order of tracks, and particularly the opening track on each side and the closing track on each side and the closing track of the whole thing. Beatles albums, I used to spend ages figuring out, and Dylan albums.
Of
Where
course.
did this come in this order? Where did this take me? You know?
Yeah, they put a lot of thought into the sequencing of the songs. Yeah.
And now, if you sequence a CD, maybe it's just going to be jumbled onto somebody's playlist.
Or somebody's going to push shuffle anyway, or random.
Yeah.
I like the concept of albums, and they're very special to me. I still have 45s and LPs from the 60s.
Oh, right.
And
Well,
the
you have the
50s.
original. Well, you played with half the original artists anyway.
A few.
But yeah, a few of them. Wow. No, and that's, so I'm kind of glad. I don't quite understand how it's happened. It's kind of, I suppose, part of a general retro thing, but this sort of vinyl revival.
I love it. I even love the snap, crackle, and pops on it. You know? And I'm not trying to sell you cereal, you know. But it's just, you know, it's like, that takes me back.
Yeah. Well, anyway, the reason why we're here is that, I mean, actually, we're taking turns. We're signing some of the albums. So you just signed yours, haven't you?
I did.
So there's another one. I'm going to sign this one.
Okay.
But then I'll tell you a little bit about the tracks. And Phil has just been showing me some of the treasures from his library. So I think what first kind of formed our friendship, Phil, apart from loving music, was loving C.S. Lewis.
Absolutely.
It was our mutual friend, Andrew Lazar, who was...
Hello, Andrew.
Hello, Andrew.
God
Yeah,
bless you.
anyway, our mutual friend, Andrew Lazar, who was, I think he was always telling me about you and telling you about me, but then the C.S. Lewis was the thing. So, on this record is my sonnet, C.S. Lewis.
Yeah.
Which, if I'm remembering this right, I think we were having an enthusiastic conversation about Lewis, unsurprisingly, and I was talking about this is amazing. This is, if I could just show my friend here, that this is Phil's first edition, 1964, of all the best things came out in the 60s. So 1964 of the poems of C.S. Lewis, which was, if you think Lewis died in November 63, and a lot of these poems were published posthumously, so Walter Hooper must have been burning the midnight oil.
I bet he was.
To do this. And in fact, you know, some of the like, scholarship has moved on and the poems are re-edited, and there's a lot more poems seen the light of day.
Absolutely.
Since this came out. So there's a new edition, which I've got by Don King.
And it's a bigger one, too.
Yeah, it's way bigger, yeah. So I use this, but I was in correspondence with Don King when I wrote the chapter on C.S. Lewis as a poet for the Cambridge Companion to C.S. Lewis. But we were sat here talking about this, and I started saying what a great poem I thought As the Ruin Falls was, not knowing that you'd kind of done a classic track of it, and that you got your guitar out and played. It's amazing.
Yeah,
so
I put music to it back 49 years ago.
49 years ago.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, in fact, our good friend here, Tom, we've been making alternate mixes from the Love Broke Through album, and just listening to the strings alone that Michael Omardian produced and scored for that song, As the Ruin Falls. You know, this book here, I believe, was either given to me by Andrew Lazo or Rick Kordinsky. One of those two brothers who both really love C.S. Lewis and his writings. And so I want to say thanks to both those guys, because they both blessed me with some C.S. Lewis books. And
well, I just think, I almost have to say about books like this, what we've just been saying about vinyl. Because like I have e-readers, and I really appreciate being able to go on Google Books, and if I'm stuck in an airport somewhere, I can get the text of Mallory's Mort Data and carry on my Arthur work. But there's no way that for pleasure, I'm going to sit in front of a computer screen and read a classic of literature. That's just not going to happen. Not when I can have something beautiful like this in my hands.
I love it. I love the feeling of holding a book.
So maybe we can have a couple of poems before our friend has to go. Let's have As the Ruin Falls. Shall I read it? Do you
Please.
Want to read it?
I'd love to hear your voice.
And then I'll read my poem about Lewis, which you then put beautiful music to.
Oh, yeah.
So I should say what this is me. I mean, I wouldn't dare to pick up a musical instrument in this august company, but I'm reading, and then Phil is doing just the most amazing music around it. Anyway, here's As the Ruin Falls, which I think is one of Lewis's not only very best poems, but very best pieces of writing altogether. And of course, it emerges later. I mean, it's written to Joy. You know, he's just trying to help her out. And then even as she becomes ill, he falls in love with her. And he falls really, really in love. And that's what this poem is about not having, I mean, you know, most people who are writing a love poem to the woman they love will kind of be tempted to say, I'm such a great guy. You know, so, but Lewis does
the opposite.
The opposite.
And they weren't married when he wrote this.
No, he's well, they got married in a registry office, basically so that she didn't have to leave England, and her kids didn't have to leave their schools. And she had, you know, she was divorced from her husband who'd been abusive, and he was just trying to save her from that. And the idea was, this is just a friendly working relationship. We're technically married to solve this immigration problem.
That's right.
But God had other plans. So eventually they kind of had a religious ceremony in the end. And this may be between the two, because I think the religious ceremony they had in her hospital bed. So this is here, As the Ruin Falls. All this is flashy rhetoric about loving you. I never had a selfless thought since I was born. I'm mercenary and self-seeking through and through. I want God, you, all friends, merely to serve my turn. Peace, reassurance, pleasure are the goals I seek. I cannot crawl 1 inch outside my proper skin. I talk of love, a scholar's parrot can talk Greek, but self-imprisoned always end where I begin. Only that now you have taught me but how late my lack. I see the chasm, and everything you are was making my heart into a bridge by which I might get back from exile and grow man. And now the bridge is breaking. For this I bless you as the ruin falls. The pains you give me are more precious than all other gains. So he's right, it's just astonishing. You know, he's fallen in love with her at the same moment that they both realise she's dying. You know, and this is true love. But the thing that got me about this poem, you know, all that you are was making my heart into a bridge. That's just a genius image. Making my heart to a bridge whereby I might grow back. And then he says, and now the bridge is breaking. So if you think about it, like probably one of the most cliched things a person could say, must have once been a poetic gem, but it's become a cliche, would be to say, my heart is broken. It doesn't mean anything, nobody can see it. But to say my heart is a bridge and the bridge is breaking, you're still saying I'm heartbroken, but now you're saying something so much more. I mean, it's genius, you know.
It is.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Amazing.
Yeah, and at the time, we discovered, Bernadette and I discovered this poem. We had lost triplet boys prematurely at 5.5 months. And so not only did this poem somehow speak to us, but so did the book, A Severe Mercy by Sheldon Van Auken.
Yeah.
Because
I was just talking to somebody last night, a Canadian woman, who read that book when she was in Oxford and was kind of converted by it, basically.
Yeah, it's a powerful book.
Yeah.
Honest. And there weren't too many books like it at the time.
No.
Especially people going through grief and then A Grief Observed also became a very powerful book to us.
I bet it did. I mean, because you're right, not a lot of writers, and funny enough, particularly in the Christian community, there's lots of kind of cheerful books about how all Christians should be shiny, happy people having fun, you know, but there's not a lot about heartbreak, and sometimes people feeling grief can be made to feel like there's something wrong with them, and then you think, Jesus, you know, sweated blood, he cried, my God, why art thou full of thyself? Got the book of Psalms.
Yeah, and the book of Acts.
Yeah.
With all the suffering that the apostles
you
went
know, so I think we need to recover, lament. And, you know, Lewis has given us so much, but he's also given us that. Anyway, maybe I should read now the poem that you did such beautiful music.
Would you like me to put the background track in the background?
Yeah, do you want to do that?
While you read it live.
Wow, okay.
Right?
That would be cool.
That won't take but a minute.
I'm not sure if I can read along with myself.
No, you might have to. I'll do just the backing track.
Oh, cool.
That's awesome.
Oh, it's great to see the golden disc being put on the record player. That's very cool.
There it is.
Hang on, let me get to the poem.
No, I won't rush it.
I've got to. Here we are.
It's the very second piece after Singing Bowl.
Okay. I'm going to get the snap, crackle, pop as well. Cool. Okay.
Here we go.
From beer and beowulf to the seven heavens, whose music you conduct from sphere to sphere. You are our portal to those hidden havens, whence we return to bless our being here. Scribe of the kingdom, keeper of the door which opens onto all we might have lost, ward of a word hoard in the deep heart's core, telling the tale of love from first to last. Generous, capacious, open, free, your wardrobe mind has furnished us with worlds through which to travel, whence we learn to see along the beam, and hear at last the heralds, sounding their summons through the stars that sing, whose call at sunrise brings us to our King. Beautiful. And there's the wardrobe mind, and absolutely fabulous album designed by Ned Bustard. Oh, great! Well, that's the first time I've heard the record. Obviously, so that was. I mean, I've heard the digital
from the vinyl,
but it's the first time I've heard it from the vinyl. Well, thanks for playing that film. Not only thanks for playing it, but thanks for composing it.
I'm glad it's already recorded.
Yeah, it's very good. Anyway, thanks for dropping round, and hopefully we'll catch up somewhere else. You seem to be able to track me down on my travels. But this is one of my happy places is Phil's house. So cheers.
Cheers. Great to be with you and Jeremy. Casella.
Yeah, good time, Jeremy.
Yeah.
Okay.